Alright everybody, this is Rebel Frack, and this video is a response to a video that I just saw on TYT, the Young Turks. And I was so stunned by some of the comments that were being made that I just grabbed a pen and a piece of paper and I just started writing some of them down. So I'm going to read to you some of the comments that this guy was making, and then I'm going to ask you a question. Okay, the first thing he said was that he used to be a liberal Democrat, but then he got down on his knees and he prayed to God for forgiveness, and now he's a conservative. He said that blacks lack moral behavior, that Democrats and liberals are undermining blacks. He said that most blacks are lazy and unemployed. He said that blacks need to turn away from black leadership and stay away from black churches. He said that blacks need to take responsibility for their lives and to stop clinging to the liberal plantation. He said that America is the greatest country in the world, and he said that before the Civil War there were black businesses and black banks all over the country, but they started trying to take over the white businesses. Now, these were the comments that were made by someone that Shank was interviewing on TYT. So my question to you is, do you think these comments were being made by a black American or a white American? Answer: they were being made by a black American named Jesse Peterson. He works for an organization called Bond. They basically help troubled young black males, help them, to stay in school, to get jobs, or to get in school. And this is some of the racist nonsense that this organization is teaching these young black men. And okay, what you're looking at right now, these are images from Bruce Davidson's photo documentary of the civil rights movement in the 1960s. And the reason I have them up there is because I think that maybe Mr. Peterson has forgotten, one, that black Americans, that we are taking responsibility for our lives, and that this is one of the responses that we got when we tried to, that conservatives, okay, in the South were battering and beating and killing our ancestors, okay, that they were turning dogs on them, that they were turning fire hoses on them, and that, again, this was being done by conservatives, okay, and that some liberals and Democrats actually helped our ancestors and made it possible, okay, for us to have the right to vote, to have the right to at least have the assurance that we're going to get an equal opportunity when we seek employment or when we seek housing, okay. And I was just stunned and shocked, and for me I'm almost tempted to put that guy's rhetoric under the under the category of black on black crime. And it just brings to mind for me one of the a situation that was going on in Uganda around October and November of last year, where there were some Ugandan politicians who wrote a bill and tried to get it passed into law, making it legal to incarcerate and or execute gay men and gay men with AIDS, and to incarcerate anyone who knew a gay person or someone with AIDS and tried to help them or didn't tell the government about them. Those politicians were being funded by a conservative Christian organization here in the United States. And so I'm just wondering if maybe that's not a tactic that the conservatives in this country are using now to target community organizations and politicians that maybe don't have enough funding, nonprofit organizations that rely on grants, that rely on donations, to offer them, grants and donations, and then make it some type of a requirement that they adhere to certain religious or conservative rhetoric or practices and principles. I just wonder that, because the comments that this guy was making sounded like they were taken from some racist manual. And I seriously, maybe leave a comment in the comment section and let me know if you really thought, before I told you who it was making those comments, if maybe you thought that this was, that Chang was interviewing some Klansman or something, because that's really what it sounded like. But nope, this was an African American. And this idea that America is the greatest country in the world. America is a country in the world. It's not the greatest country in the world. Look at what some of these conservative right-wing crazies were doing when we finally got past, after decades, a minimal form of health care. Look at what they were doing. I don't know, and this idea that there were black businesses and banks all over the country before the Civil War, there was an era called Reconstruction, but it was quickly dismantled, and we had Jim Crow laws put into place, and they stayed in place, and depending on who you ask, they're still in place. Okay, this is just my quick video response to that interview. You can check it out on the TYT webpage, and I think maybe they're going to probably break them down into clips and upload them onto their YouTube channel probably today or tomorrow. Okay, but we've been listening to Ben Harper from his album, it's called The Will to Live. Okay, this is Rebel Frack.